Sam in the PM, only on A2D Radio. Tom and Brent, these guys are fucking awesome.
You learn a lot. You really do. You can just look over and learn a lot, and you guys are going to learn a lot tonight. This is AM in the PM, only on A2D Radio. We are live from the Real Talk Studios, like we are every Wednesday night, and every Wednesday night we are brought to you by our doc. Make him yours. That's Dr. Paul Vidal.
The GOAT.
Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Hand injury, text the doc. You get the right information. Simple as that. Dr. Paul Vidal. That's how things work. Tom Arnone, Greg Mwagwick, Ryan Brodo, LaRalfo, James, Bryant III on the ones and twos. And you think, when you start to show up, you think you know people. You think you've been here long enough. You know, I mean, that's saying from a guy who started it, Ralph. You know what I mean? LaRalfo. And I guess we're not, as a whole, good enough for the new stuff. You know what I mean? New stuff.
Yeah.
Hits a couple shows. I see it. I hear it, right? Guess we're not good enough for the new stuff. Yeah. So, you know.
Maybe we're too old. We're not edgy enough.
We're just not edgy enough. I mean, listen, you don't know who I grew up on, babe. LaRalfo, James Bryant III. Now it's coming off my tongue smooth. State of the MLB. Listen, you can make an argument. This is actually great for baseball because it's being talked about all the damn time. So we'll talk about that later on the show. Philly spring training is here. It's upon us. And we're going to gauge early where we think this team can be a little win-loss wise. And what certain guys need to do to say if we're high on them, what certain key players in this lineup rotation need to do for us to get there. So we'll dissect a little early Phillies. At 10:30-ish, we'll have Ky Carlin live on the air. If you don't know Ky, you know, if you don't follow the Sixers, and you probably don't know Ky, but if you follow the Sixers, you know Ky. Sixers beat reporter, editor with the Sixers Wire. So covers the team daily. And we got a lot of questions. I mean, we all got two at least. We know LaRalfo doesn't have any. And I might even have a third. So we're going to have Ky on at 10:30 talking everything Sixers. And it ties right into our opening, which is everything Sixers leading up to their first game after the All-Star break, which essentially has felt like forever right now. And I'm excited for tomorrow night. And it's the Sixers-Nets, a little preview for you. And it ties right into our poll question. No Kyrie, remember this. Sixers will cover the 8.5 versus the Nets tomorrow night. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know, fam. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. A2D Radio is where you can find us. Podcast-wise, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iTunes. Subscribe, follow, like. You know the deal, fam. We're here for you. We're reading off all your comments, questions. Are you excited about this team moving forward? Do you think this team has a legit chance to go to an Eastern Conference Final? Where do you stand there? Where do you stand on Brett Brown? Where do you stand on Joel and Ben? The air quote, they're not friends. They're not cool with each other. There's jealousy. Where do you stand there? Where do you stand if you're one of the idiots that stand in this corner that they can't play together? You know? Or you stand in the rest of the real thinkers. You stand in their side of the room where you know they can play together. So, you know, we're going to find out, us talking about it, but we got to get right into the game at hand, which is a home game. But when you're talking about covering the line, it changes things up a little bit. Now, no Kyrie. It hasn't stopped the Nets from upsetting us in the past.
Yep.
Now, the only thing you can say differently about tomorrow night's game is we're the best team in basketball at home. I don't expect that to change. One, that can't change, and I don't expect it to. And we did it a little bit Sunday, obviously a lot Sunday, but with 13 road games remaining, you know, how many do you think the Sixers win out of them 13? So we got a lot to talk about that. We're asking the family questions. We'll answer everything as well. Comments obviously flying in. But right to the poll because we want to get that before Ky comes on because we're going to have a lot of questions for Ky and family. If you got questions for Ky, let us know. Have good questions. I mean, I expect great things from you guys. Okay, we can't have bad questions. Bad questions, Bill, won't get read on. Six will cover the 8.5 versus the Nets tomorrow night. Do you agree or disagree?
You mentioned something about how long it's felt, right? And I always hate the All-Star breaks, especially because most of the games are unwatchable in all sports. The NBA actually did a really good job in changing that up, and I actually it didn't hurt that we were doing a show, so it was on, but it did keep me glued. But you're right. The break before and after is just, it's like, come on. I need something to watch. I need something to gamble on. Yeah. Will something come back? With it being home, though, back to the poll question, with it being a home game, I do think they cover. As you mentioned, Brooklyn is one of those Nat teams like that I used to call the Washington Nationals. Like they're the Nat that's always around you, regardless of who's on their team. They're always going to be scrappy. They're always going to give you a hard time. Yep, but with no Kyrie at home, I don't think it's even close tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to the poll is number one, I agree, and number two, they better cover, to be honest, because I look at when you talk about statement victories, statement games. Listen, we talk about, and I already know what people are going to start saying on the Twitter page if they get off to a slow start. Oh, they're rusty. And I'm not saying there's zero validity to that because when we talk about
every team should be rusty then.
Exactly. Well, exactly. But to me, I look at no Kyrie Irving. We are the best team in the NBA at home. And two, if you look at just one player in particular, Ben Simmons, the last handful of games, he's going off against them. He has stepped up in a big way against them. Obviously, a couple of those.
But now we're not talking about winning. We're talking about covering.
Well, all those point to this should be a convincing. Maybe we're talking about emptying the benches, towards the end of the fourth.
But does that necessarily matter?
No,
in the NBA, like you know what I mean? Does it like you said? It has to be. It has to be. They better cover it because things won't look good. If you get out of here, winning this game by 7. I'm not in panic mode whatsoever.
At the end of the day, a win's a win, and that's what's important. But to me, when you talk about not for me, but when you talk about the fans that are picking and choosing, little things, even in wins, to really bitch about, what I'm talking
absolutely.
about?
No, people are going to find things even in blowouts.
Because I remember, it was a couple weeks
ago
animals
around here.
when we were playing the Bulls, and that's when Embiid went off. He was having that great game. Even in the win, people were still saying, "Oh, well, we were struggling to win at home against the Bulls."
That's also the Bulls. The Nets always the way the Nets play us. That's why the only reason it's about the Nets right now, because the way the Nets always play us most of the time is tough. So
Karis LeVert, the slash.
I just expect that. I expect a tough fought game. Now
to
the poll, I agree. I think they cover tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to take them. That's what I do. But I think they cover tomorrow night. Now, do they have to? For sakes of gambling wise, they better.
Yeah.
But in terms of they better outside of gambling wise, no, just go win a basketball game.
True, that's true.
Just stay dominant at home because at the end of the day, I just need wins. This basketball team just needs wins.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters right now. Doesn't have to look pretty all the time.
No.
It can be ugly at times, but let's just go win a basketball game that's in front of us. And however we do it, we do it.
And especially with
this road trip coming up too.
Well, that's especially when we struggle so much on the road. You can't let these games at home that you should win fall into we just had an off night. If you're this bad on the road, you can't afford off nights at home.
No, you're right.
You have to stay dominant.
That's the bet
you have to stay dominant.
Yeah.
You have to be the best team at home in the NBA if you're going to be the worst team in the road in the NBA.
Yeah, Ricky Colon chiming in. What's up, boys?
What's
up, Ricky?
I'm hoping and expecting a huge improvement from the Sixers after the break. Keep the home wins coming, and then Justin start dominating on the road. And, Ricky, the poll Sunday was 13 games left. Do you agree this team will win seven games? And I agreed with it. I feel like they're going to figure things out on the road because it's more than just, yes, I always talk about your stars got to show up on the road. No question about that. But you also have to have a bench some nights. And this team's bench was atrocious before these two additions that just make you deeper now. They weren't deep bench. That bench, we were talking about if Furkan got you 15, you were probably winning games. There was zero bench production. And for this team, 9-19 is unacceptable. But when you look deeper into it, you understand that there's going to be off nights from some of your stars, and this is where you need a bench. So I think that they will win 7 games, Ricky. So you tell me, can they win 7 out of their last 13 on the road? Peter Albertson, I need to see more consistent play, not one day then down. No, I mean, you're not wrong. The only place you'd be wrong at is home. They're dominant at home. On the road, everything's up for grabs, right? Everything's up for grabs on the road. I mean, you can make whatever crazy statements you want to make about this basketball team, but we can't forget something. They are dominant at home.
Thank God.
We say thank God, but I think if they weren't, it would still be around the same record because they would be better on the road probably.
Yeah, would have ended out.
But it's like we have to start giving them props for how dominant they have been at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to get together on the road, no question. But we never talk about as a fan base. Well, this is the best baseball team at home in the whole league. The only team that beat the 4 top seeds from each conference. The only team to do it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And I keep pressing. This team's the Eastern Conference Finals contender. It's just how they're going to get there, what seed they're going to be, and what road do they have to go to get there. I think they get there. Now, if they have to play Milwaukee in the second round, things might change a little bit. But I think this team was built by Elton Brand to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. That's and they realize, our bench isn't good enough, and we have to go get better there because it's killing us.
Yep.
And it's probably why you're 9-19 on the road. Mm-hmm. You could probably just say 2 wins if it's a better bench. So, not that that's a lot, but it's just that I'm just not giving it more than I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have to go back and look at every game and remember every game.
But we talked about on Sunday, there were a couple and probably maybe 2 or 3 games where we were very close on the road. You look back at the Miami game that went to overtime.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm
double
saying?
Double overtime, right? Wasn't it double?
I think it was close, but I think it was only 1. But maybe it was 2. But so there's only been a handful that we've actually been in on the road.
Yeah.
Everything else, to your point, though, has been absolute blowouts.
They
So,
showed up.
Not to give them more wins than they might, quote-unquote, deserve. I think 2 is fair, but you're right. Even 2, that makes you 11-17. It sounds so much better than 9-19.
Well, you talk about it too, to where, and this is timing is everything. During those long road stretches, well, just so happened to be in the middle of Josh Richardson's absence the first time and second time. Like when they were going on the West Coast trip, that was Richardson's first absence.
You know how I feel about him, Ryan.
Yes. Well, you talk about elevator to where, like, obviously Simmons is great. You talk about him, but when you talk about guys disappearing in big moments, unfortunately, we've talked about Tobias and Al in certain instances.
Yeah, Josh ain't scared to shoot.
No, he's not. And he's going to elevate you on the road. Same thing with Embiid. Obviously, you run the offense, or at least you should run the offense through him.
This travels.
Yes.
Palmsy travels.
Grit, too.
Yeah.
He is grit.
He's probably the most underrated perimeter defender in basketball. I know Rob Brinkman took a shot saying, almost saying I'm comparing him to Scottie Pippen. Like, no, I'm not.
I was waiting
I'm
to
not.
drop the Scottie
I'm just saying that, to me, he's so important to this basketball team, especially like you just said, right? You're not just talking about a team without a bench like I was preaching about, but now you're talking a team now missing one of your starters.
So now your bad bench has to now become your starter.
Yeah. It's just,
like your Mike Scott is first off the bench. Now he's your starter. What's your first off the bench? James Ennis?
Shake Milton shouldn't be starting for me. If I want to go to an Eastern Conference Finals, I'm not saying he shouldn't be on your team. He just shouldn't be starting for me.
Even Thibault, because, you look at him to where, he's going to give you a lot defensively, but when you need extra scoring on the road, which has been the biggest indicator of win-loss, you're not getting that from Thibault.
No,
especially as a rookie.
You're not, and that's the thing. So you can't press guys in the roles when they're not ready for when you want to contend. And I think that's part of the problem. 9-19 is like, we had Josh Richardson miss 4 games. Now, I'm not saying we're going 4-0. But
2-2?
Just the energy and defensive prowess. I mean, I see guys not even be able to catch. There's 0 passing lanes at times with him. I mean, he just covers you up.
Well, you even go back to the first road trip of the year. You missed 2 games from Joel. And you missed 2 games from Ben.
Yep.
When you're going up against the Clippers, the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Nuggets, I want to say.
Yep.
So that was tough to overcome because exactly 2 of our biggest players were out on injury right off the jump.
No, you're right. You're right. So we got tons of comments coming in. Fam, hold your comments. Don't go anywhere, obviously. Keep them coming now. But we talked about earlier on the show, we were going to have Ky Carlin call in, Sixers beat reporter, editor for the Sixers Wire. We got Ky on the line now. What's up, brother? It's good to talk to you again.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Living the dream if we can get to an Eastern Conference final.
Well, was that? I'm sorry.
I said living the dream if we can get to an Eastern Conference final here.
That's going to be a tough. That's definitely going to be tough to make it work. But I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
All right, so we got about, I would say, 6 to 7 questions for you, right? And that was essentially the first one. Do you believe that this team is built to get to an Eastern Conference final? And if not, why?
I believe they can make an Eastern Conference final. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't think they get there. And here's why. I personally have them losing in round 2 again, which will then, kind of set off a chain reaction of, probably some more changes in the offseason. But here's kind of my issue with this team. And it's something that everybody continues to really harp on. Really, it's the lack of shooting and the lack of spacing. And it's really, we can talk about this in the regular season, and they can come up with little tricks here and there to kind of mask it. But come playoff time, man, all those warts, it gets shown. For example, whenever they lost 3 out of 4 to Miami in the regular season, and the 3 wins that Miami had, they employed a simple 2-3 zone defense, and Philly couldn't beat it. They had no idea how to beat it. And if Philly and Miami were to match up in the playoffs, which if the season ended today, they would be, with Game 1 being in Miami.
Yep.
Then honestly, the Heat could honestly beat them in round 1. So, I mean, there are a lot of issues with this team that need to be worked out. Who knows? Maybe the Al Horford.
Because at the end of the day, in the NBA, Ky, I just feel like it's
I then think Brett gets fired, and then they try again with a new coach. Try to get Ben and Joe and Al and this whole thing to work. And then if it doesn't work, then management will begin to maybe think about, hey, maybe Ben and Joe really don't fit, and then they'll kind of test out the waters and then test out the market and really see what they can get for one of these 2 guys, because both of these guys are extremely talented. But I mean, the debate topic for the past, it seems like 3 months, has been, are Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid compatible? Can they coexist? And in the past, they've proven they can. They won 50-plus games in back-to-back years. They were a Kawhi Leonard quadruple doink away from making the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And then this year, it really seems they haven't been able to coexist, and it's because the pieces around them don't, cater to what Ben and Joe really like to do. If they had shooters surrounding Ben and Joe, then this would be a lot different. If JJ was still here, and even if they lost Jimmy and they just kind of replaced him with a shooter or something, we'd be having a totally different conversation. I really think we kind of need to begin to look at the other pieces they surrounded Ben and Joe with, rather than focusing on Ben and Joe. That's just kind of my thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. What are their strengths? We know what both their strengths are. They need shooters around both of them. When they went on that 18-2 stretch, I think 2 years ago when Joe was out with Bellinelli and Ilyasova, it was just guys around Ben that could flat out shoot it, in transition. The only thing I think different about this team, and what I hope I'm reading Elton's brain with, because you just read my mind with your answer to the second one, and when you're talking about Joel and Ben being able to play together. My other question, before I even go to the other one, my other question for you was, people try to create this narrative, and some of the media likes to do it, that these 2 aren't close and aren't friends, and there's a jealousy there. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but do you have that vibe that these 2 are guys that are jealous of each other? I mean, are we, not me, but are guys in this media trying to divide 2 soon-to-be superstars, if not already, and making one leave, if not another?
I mean, that's not really the vibe I get at all. I mean, are these 2 guys hanging out with each other off the floor and bonding per se and playing video games with each other all the time? No. These guys aren't best friends. But Joel is also a guy who doesn't really like to go out. He's not really a guy who likes to. He's more of a guy who, when he's not at work, he's at home. He's going to hang out with his girlfriend and his dog and at home, and maybe play some video games here and there. Joe's not like that. Ben, on the other hand, I mean, I know Ben's really huge into video games, but Like when Ben gets an offer to go out, he very rarely turns it down. I'm not saying the dude's in the club all the time. like don't get me wrong there. Like I'm not saying Ben's out here partying all the time, but he's 23, so he's not going to turn down an invite too often to go out. So they're two totally different guys. But no, they're not jealous of each other. They're not there's no beef between the two of them. They respect each other's games. They understand how good they are, and they both understand that for the Sixers to win the championship and to get to where they want to go, that they need to lead the way. But no, they're not jealous of each other. When that story came out, I mean, all I could do was laugh at it.
I'm glad you could, because that's all we kind of do here as well.
Yeah, right. I mean, just the whole thing was it really seemed like the biggest clickbait story in the world. And I mean, who knows? Maybe Chris Broussard knows somebody. I don't know. But coming from a guy who covers his team on a regular basis, no. All I could do was just laugh. There's just no way.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they have you don't always have to hang out with the guy every day to be able to coexist and be friends enough and want the other guy to succeed. I mean, it all comes down to this basketball team over the next 3-5 years, whatever you want to say, with these two playing together. It comes down to them, right? Their growth, their ability to get better year in, year out. You have to lose before you learn how to win. It's happened to every essential star in the NBA. You get beat down a few times, and then you figure out what it takes. And personally, Ky, I think Joe coasting a lot of the year was him essentially looking ahead a little bit too, because of what last year's postseason did for him. I mean, we saw the emotion. As a fan base of any team, you just want guys to be real, and we saw a real emotion for a tough loss for him and all of us, obviously. Yeah. And for him, to sort of talk about this year, I want to be healthy during the playoffs. My team needs me in the playoffs. Do you think part of his, at times, what it looks like to some people coasting, has a little bit to do with looking ahead and trying to learn how to do that like some of the vets do?
I feel like to a certain extent, yeah, because like you said, I mean, Joel let all of his emotions out. Once that Kawhi shot went down, I mean, there really wasn't. It was so raw and it was so real, and you knew that at that point, I mean, Joel was hurting, and I don't know if you guys probably saw it, but in Joel's Players Tribune, he in his entry he talked about it. He said for some reason that shot went down. I don't know why. It went in, and there's nothing I could do. So it's coming to a point where it's sure maybe throughout this whole regular season he's looking towards the playoffs. He's looking for redemption. He wants to kind of move on from that point. But at the same time, it doesn't really excuse any of these losses. I mean, to lose to the Hawks, what was it, like double digits a couple of weeks ago right before the break?
Yep. Yeah, and not even be in the game.
And then, it wasn't even a game. I mean, you had Shake Milton scoring 27 that night too, and you still lose by double digits. Like that's just inexcusable. I was in Orlando for the game after Christmas when they find themselves down by double digits to the Magic. We're talking about the Magic, who to me, they are one of the more unimpressive teams in the league. Outside of Jonathan Isaac, there's nothing about the Magic that I like. They're sitting at the 8th seed, and they're kind of like a whatever. And the Magic beat you. The Magic have 2 wins over you, actually.
Oh yeah, they play. The Magic look like they're the old Warriors when we play them. I mean, they don't stop. They don't stop stroking. I've always said they're hitting shots from Disney. I mean, they don't miss when we go down to Orlando. I mean, I was at Jimmy's first game down there in Orlando when he came here, and that night I believe they were up big time, and then all of a sudden, Orlando I don't think missed a shot the entire second half. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, live at a game where just how fast it turned. And it's Ky, it's them, it's the Nets that get us at times. It's the Hawks feel like when we go to Atlanta we don't show up. I mean, there's really some bad teams that when we go play them, it's like we're not going to show up on the road again. And then there's the only team in the NBA to beat the top 4 teams from each conference. Like, you just can't make up the Jekyll and Hyde of this basketball team.
It's strange. It's absolutely strange. I mean, for a team to be so dominant at home, we're talking about a team that's 25-2 at home. It's absolutely insane. And they've got wins over Boston, 2 of them. They've got a win over Miami. They've got a win over the Lakers. They've got a win over the Clippers. They've got a win over Milwaukee, all at home. But the minute they go out on the road, it's like they all of a sudden forget how to play basketball. I've covered 10 road games this year, which is huge for me. That's big for me. And so out of these 10 road games, they won 4 of them. Now, 2 of them were in New York. It's the Knicks. Who gives a damn? The Knicks are a dumpster fire. They had a win in Brooklyn, which I thought was really impressive during the stretch when Joel was out with the 9 games. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was one of the more impressive wins of the year, to go into Brooklyn, a place where, like as you mentioned earlier, they kind of struggle with the Nets, and they were able to go into Brooklyn and get a win. That was impressive. They had a really impressive win in Boston when I was up there covering that one, and I thought that was impressive. And you know, another thing, you know, they haven't won in Washington D.C. since 2013.
Yeah, that's insane to me. I didn't know it was that, since they haven't won there since 2013. They still haven't done that.
Yeah, they have not won on the road against the Wizards since Brett Brown's second game as coach. 2013 was their last win at DC.
Wow.
Which is what I'm talking about with these road games. They just seem like they forget how to play on the road. It's like they forget how to play basketball. It's strange.
It's so weird.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's so weird because it's too Jekyll High. Some guys say, you know, the roads are kryptonite. You think that's when teams like, I don't need you to be 10 games over on the road. I just need you to play 500 on the road. I always say that about, if you want to be a great team in any sport, you know, you got to obviously dominate at home and play 500 on the road, and you're always going to be in good shape. You know, this basketball team, you know, dominant at home, which I'm not going to take away from them. But like you said, they go on the road, and it's like, are these the guy? Like, I'm crowning Joel. I think Joel's one of the best players in the league. They guys go on the road. I'm like, he don't look good. You know, it's just things get, I think, exposed a little bit on the road. But, you know, I think Ben's coming into his own. But I'm going to pass you off to Greg before, you know, I just ask a million questions and we just keep talking. I know Greg's got some questions.
Well, no, it's about the road woes. And Ky, do you see any one particular factor of being on the road that they struggle with, whether it's just like, is it purely making shots, or is it more of a intensity mentality type of thing?
It's kind of hard to really pinpoint it. Okay, like, for example, the last road game that I actually went out and covered was, I was in Miami.
That's a go one.
For the game after. For the game after the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, I know, right? Miami's great. But I was in Miami for the game they played February 3rd, so it's the day after the Super Bowl. And you know, like they all went to the Super Bowl, which I got no issue with. I mean, these guys are human; they have lives off the basketball court. I mean, if people are going to make a big deal about them going to the Super Bowl, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, like they came to the arena the next day, and they got blown out by 31. I mean, they gave up 81 points in the second half. They gave up 137 for the game. It was pathetic. And on top of that, Joel Embiid got 4 shot attempts in the second half, only 4, after, you know, an incredible start. And, you know, Brett said post game, like, oh, it was Miami zone. They kind of gave us some issues, which is what I was alluding to earlier.
Right.
If Philly has to play Miami round 1, and let's just say Miami gets home court advantage, then we're talking about the possibility of this team getting bounced in the first round, because A, they can't win on the road, and B, they can't figure out a simple zone defense. They can't, and which is what I was alluding to earlier. They kind of do have spacing issues. For as talented as this team is, I'm not taking away from the team's talent. We're talking about Joel Embiid is a top 10 player. We're talking about Ben Simmons is a top 20, borderline top 15 player. But the pieces around him don't fit. Al Horford, great player, all-star, doesn't really fit. Josh Richardson, very good, versatile, all-around player. He doesn't really fit. You need a shooter. Tobias Harris, borderline all-star. I like him a lot. Is he worth $180 million? No. and like, we're talking about the team, and we're looking at the playoffs, and they should do everything in their power to avoid Miami, because Philadelphia has more talent than Miami by far, But Miami's got a closer in Jimmy Butler, who is an absolute killer come playoff time, and Eric Spoelstra will coach circles around Brett Brown.
No, there's no lie there with really both. There's no lie there.
For me, going back, and we just, we're obviously talking about, the key piece on Miami. Going back to this past offseason, obviously the decision, whether it was Jimmy Butler's or obviously the organization, in your opinion, what do you think was the main kind of factor that pushed the two sides in completely different directions?
I've been asked this question a lot over the past couple of months, and I kind of want to say it was Ben, and I kind of want to say that like Brett had something to do with it, and just like the three of them just were not able to really figure out, just how to best make this work. I mean, there was one quote Jimmy had after, I believe it was Game 6 of Toronto. Against Toronto. Remember, Ben had like a really huge Game 6. Like Ben was absolutely terrific in this Game 6, keep the season alive. I think he had like a near triple double. He was terrific. He had like 25 points. He was great. But Jimmy said after, I've been trying to get on him to be this aggressive for a while. Like, dude, get aggressive. It's what we need from you. Like you're the guy here, not me. And like he didn't say those exact words, but it was something along those lines. And then Ben had like a really tough Game 7. I mean, to be honest with you, I remember the whole team really had a tough Game 7, except for like Jimmy and Joel. I remember Joe had a solid Game 7, but there were little subtle things I kind of picked up, like Jimmy saying in the media, like, dude, I'm trying to get Ben to be aggressive. Like, Ben, we need you to be aggressive. You're not aggressive enough, blah, blah, blah. And then when Jimmy first returned with Miami back in November, made his first trip back here, Brett had a quote pregame, something like, I'm not going to talk about Jimmy. I wish him good luck. That's it. Like, because he wasn't interested.
Wow.
And just like, meanwhile, after the game, Joel and Jimmy were talking in the hallway for like half an hour outside the visitors' locker room, for Miami. So, like, it kind of just, and I'm not saying this because I don't really have any proof, but like, I'm giving you my feelings. I think it was maybe Ben and Brett.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you're wrong, Ky. I think that's what a lot of people have pointed to, and I think fairly. Like for Jimmy, a guy who's trying to win now in his career, now Miami to me at the time wasn't. It was a questionable decision for him. Except for it's Miami. Except for the fact that it's Miami, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's Ben's lack of aggression at times, which we've watched over the last month, him evolve a lot more with that, which is, I think it's been fun to watch because I like seeing my young guys evolve into better players, and we're starting to see a little bit more of that killer from them that we want. But I don't know if we'll ever be that. I don't think he's ever going to be Jordan in the fourth, but his game's different. And for a guy like Jimmy, I thought fit better here in a way than Tobias does. Just and it would make sense. That's a couple reasons. I think we got a steal in getting Josh Richardson back, in that deal and getting something back for Jimmy. But besides that, I think everybody would agree. This team would be better off with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, they absolutely would be. Now, I'll be honest. I wouldn't. I'm with you. Like when Jimmy went to Miami, I was like, "Oh, okay, you're gonna go win in Miami, yeah, all right." but I mean, like again, going back to my point earlier, Eric Spoelstra is a hell of a coach, and a lot of people, don't give Spoelstra enough credit because he had LeBron James, he had Chris Bosh, he had Dwayne Wade. But I mean, like you gotta remember, he coached Miami for 2 years before LeBron and Bosh even went down there. Mm-hmm. And he coached a Heat team with Dwayne Wade, a rookie Mario Chalmers, a rookie Michael Beasley in his starting lineup, a washed-up Jermaine O'Neal, and Yakuba Diawara in his starting lineup, and he got them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And both his first 2 years down there in Miami before LeBron and Bosh joined. And then he had to juggle that, and then he had to juggle the big three, and they went to the finals 4 years in a row and got 2 titles. And sure, it's a lot easier when you have LeBron James on your team, but I mean, Spoelstra does a hell of a job. And then you look at the job he's doing this year. Butler, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo was an all-star this year. Derrick Jones Jr. is coming to his own. Kendrick Nunn coming out of nowhere. Myers Leonard actually looks like a real NBA player. Kelly Olynyk is looking all right. Like, Miami is a dangerous team come playoff time. Will they win the finals? No. They need another piece. But they are a team that could beat Philly, like, for sure. It wouldn't shock me.
Oh, I don't think it would shock any of us either.
No.
So, Ky, I want to take you back to the beginning of everything. So I've always wondered when it comes back to Hinkie and the Joel Embiid draft, do you believe – I believe this, but do you believe it was always Joel Embiid regardless of where we drafted in the first three?
Oh, boy, that's a tough question. I wasn't even covering the team yet. I mean, 2014, I was still in college. Here's
this is what Greg's known for, Ky. This is what he's known for sometimes. So just bear with him. Just bear with him. He's known for this.
I'm an issue.
Well, when it comes to Joel, I honestly think that like they were just taking best player available. They had the 3rd overall pick. Joel was expected to go 1st overall to Cleveland, and then the Cavs for some reason took Anthony Bennett, for 1st overall, and Bennett turned out to be the worst number 1 overall pick of all time. And that we're all kind of sitting here, and Joel was right there.
Yeah.
And so it kind of came down to a point where you needed to take the best player available. It wasn't like they kind of had their heart set on Joel Embiid. It kind of just came to a point where you're in the middle of the process. You need to get some type of talent in here, and he's right there. Unfortunately, he missed the first 2 years with the feet injuries, but I mean, he was right there for the taking, and he was the best player on the board.
Absolutely.
So it kind of was a no-brainer.
Yeah. And then a follow-up to that, if you had one question to ask Sam Hinkie, what would it be?
If I had one question to ask who?
Sam Hinkie.
Jeez.
Oh, Sam Hinkie. Okay. Oh, if I had one question to ask Sam Hinkie. Okay. No, this is going to be like an out-of-the-box, like, okay, who really cares about this question type of question? But why Isaiah Cannon?
Why Isaiah Cannon?
Like, I looked at Isaiah Cannon in like every game, and I'm like, why are you here?
Why are you here?
I think we can probably say that about a lot of the processors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could. We honestly could. You look at guys like Jakar Sampson and
my
James,
Jakar
James Anderson was there for a year.
Yeah.
Henry Sims.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, guys that had no right to even be NBA players were part of the process.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. Well, for some reason, Isaiah Cannon just birthed me. I don't know why. It was like every game, I was like, I hate you.
Cannonballs. Zoom off used to call it. He used to cannonball. That was the only excitement they had on the broadcast. Cannonball. Hopefully Isaiah makes 8 tonight.
My last one, and you could say if it's a player, if it's just a certain factor or, kind of characteristic of this team. So far this season, what is your most disappointing part of the Sixers team, whether it's a player or just a certain aspect of it?
Most disappointing. Because I have like two or three, but I guess that the biggest thing has been Ben Simmons' lack of a jumper. I can't lie. I mean, like, because we all saw those videos last summer of him pulling up the threes and taking, making strides in these pickup games, and there was hope amongst the fan base that hey, maybe he's coming back with his jump shot. And I remember writing something about it. And I said, if he doesn't come back with a jumper, these videos don't go for naught, and these videos are nonsense, and nobody cares anymore. And that's where it's at. Like, I don't care about your stupid summer jump shot videos. I'd bring it to me on the court. But again, though, it's just I can't get upset with him because we're talking about a top 15 player.
I know.
We're talking about a guy who does everything else on the basketball court. He's one of the elite defenders in the NBA, like by a long shot. He locks up like everybody they put him on.
Yeah.
But there's this jump jump shot thing is going to be a big issue in the playoffs. And as I was saying earlier, dude,
Yep.
when you can't space the floor, your warts come out come playoff time, big time.
They do. And Ky, that's my only other side, right? Like, I'm right with you there because, I mean, we can't run from that. Nobody can run from not the lack of a jumper because it's there. That's the problem. If it wasn't there and we didn't see it and we weren't teased with it, we wouldn't be as aggressive with it, I think. But the fact that we see it in pregame, we see it's smooth. It's not like there's no hitch to it. It's not like it doesn't even look weird anymore.
Yeah.
The only weird part is it's left-handed. Everybody left-handed shoots weird to me. So it's just a left-handed thing for me. But it's not like you said, it's not. He's so good right now during the regular season. And I think what a lot of people don't talk about, his defense is NBA first team already. So that ties into my last question for you, is that I believe even though some of the struggles that we know offensively can come back and bite us in the playoffs, I still believe that this team was built to beat you in a half-court game in the playoffs because of their defense, because of how good Ben Simmons is as a perimeter defender, Josh Richardson, Thibault. We already know how good of a rim protector Joe is. But, and then Horford at times, his defensive ability, is that where you would say, hey, if this team's going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be that they're that palms up come playoff time?
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, this team, they can make the Eastern Conference Final. It wouldn't shock me. But they also wouldn't shock me if they lost round one. That's kind of where they're at right now. It's strange. And the starting lineup of Simmons, Richardson, Harris, Horford, and Embiid, they only give up 97.5 points per 100 possessions.
Yep, they'll lock you down.
Yeah. I mean, that's some lockdown defense. And I personally, and I know you guys too, I know you guys watch the games, you will see this team win games on the defensive end strictly. There's one specific game that kind of points out in my mind right now. It's the game with the Denver Nuggets. Now, on the road, they couldn't play defense to save their life in the fourth quarter, and they blew a 20-point lead and lose to the Nuggets on the Nikola Jokic jump shot because that's what Nikola Jokic does.
Yeah.
And then you return home to the Wells Fargo Center, and the Sixers hold a very explosive Nuggets team to like 2 points in the final 7 minutes of the game. You know what I'm saying? They won that game defensively because
those two were early in the year, right?
Yeah, they were earlier. Yep.
Yeah.
The one in Denver was in November. The one at the Wells Fargo Center was in December.
Okay.
But these are the two games that really point out in my mind, and it goes back to the whole road and home issues. This team's terrific defensively, but they're only terrific defensively at home.
Yep, you can't lie. You're not lying. That's the crazy thing. I can sit here and point to so many things, kind of. I think it all comes back to what you said. This pretty much start this show off is the lack of spacing. Now, there's the additions of Burks and Robinson that allows your bench obviously to get deeper, which was huge for this basketball team. But now the ability to either, hey, I'm going to go start one of them, or I'm going to start Furkan. Does that give you a little bit more hope, at least with the starting five per se, that the spacing would be enough for Joel and Ben to be able to do sort of what they did against the Clippers the other night?
Yes and no. Yes, because at the start of the game, we'll see Ben and Joe operate. Tobias moving back over to the power forward spot will be able to unlock some of his ability. Because, he's played power forward most of his career. He played power forward with the Clippers. He played it with the Pistons. And he played power forward in Orlando. And that's kind of with those three teams where he had most of his offensive success. And I think Harris is having a very good offensive season this year. And he's been playing small forward most of the year. But you move him back over to the four, and now we're going to see a little bit more of what Tobias can bring. But I also say no, because at the end of the game, he's going to end the game with Al and Joe on the floor together.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, let's be real, they paid this guy $109 million. And you're not going to pay $109 million to a guy who's strictly going to be a sixth man. And you're going to continue to see these closing lineups with Al and Joe and Ben, Josh, Tobias, or whoever's hot. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to come down to a point where you have to be able to still figure out and work out this Horford and Embiid lineup. That's going to be something that is going to be on the minds of a lot of people, especially Brett, because he knows his job's on the line, and he knows he's got to figure out how to get Ben, Joe, and Al to work. He knows it. So it's still going to be something to really watch for. In the closing lineups is where you got to watch.
Nope, I mean, spot on, taking the words out of a lot of our mouths, because this is sort of what we've been talking about, and it's going to be interesting to see. You know, they know they can bully ball you up in the fourth, but do you have a lead to do it? Can Al stretch the floor enough for you in the fourth quarter if that's the lineup they're going to run? There's question marks, and hopefully a lot of them get answered over the next 27 games.
Exactly. There's 27 games left this season. In terms of Glenn and Alec, Glenn is going to come in. And here's the thing I want to say to all Sixers fans. I need you guys to pump the brakes a little bit on what to expect out of Glenn and Alec. Alec averaged 16 points a game in Golden State. Glenn averaged 12. Neither of those guys are going to average that here in Philadelphia. Please remember that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've seen people on Twitter freaking out that Glenn only scored 6 points against the Clippers and Alec only scored 2 points. And I'm like, dude, that's not their role here. They scored that many points at Golden State because they had nobody else.
Because someone's got to score the ball.
Yeah, it was a Michael Carter Williams effect. It was a Michael Carter Williams effect when he was here. You know, somebody's got to score on a bad team.
Precisely. And and Alec and Glenn are good players. They're going to help this team in huge ways. They both can shoot the three ball. They both can come off the bench and provide scoring. Glenn is also a very underrated defender. The Warriors actually asked him to guard the opposing team's best scorer on a nightly basis. Oh, wow. And so like we're talking about a legitimate two-way guy in Glenn. And Alec is a guy who can score. He can run the pick and roll. You can continue to have Ben Simmons more as the roller in your offense. There are a lot of things that you can really look at there.
No, you're right. Ky, before we let you run, let everybody know where they can find you, find your work. And I know do you still get into getting buckets like you did before? You still have that rolling a little bit, right? That was way back. I know. I just remember that's where you started.
Kind of. It was something. Well, first off, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ky_Carlin. It's the same handle for both. And you can also check out SixersWire.com. That is where you can find all of my work and everything else in between. In terms of getting buckets, it was kind of it was an idea that my friend Josh and I started when we were freshmen in college. We went up to our college's radio station and we pitched this idea, and they actually denied us 4 times. They said no to us 4 times because it's an alternative radio station, and they said they didn't really want sports like on the air, which I thought was weird. So I kind of kept pushing for it, and we came up with Getting Buckets because that was when the Uncle Drew commercials first came out. And, we loved the commercials and how Uncle Drew, Kyrie would look into the camera and say, this game's all about buckets. So we kind of, we were inspired, and we called it Getting Buckets. We had a lot of fun with it. We had, it granted us access to Sixers training camp when the Sixers were actually at Stockton for camp for 3 straight years. We were able to kind of get access to training camp, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, really cool.
And we were only college kids at the time, so I mean, like, we were walking around, like, confused. We're trying to figure out like kind of our niche or kind of our role. And I met some people and networked, and now here I am.
Yeah, dude, you worked your way up the ladder, brother. Really have. It's great work out of you. A testament to the great work you put out and the hard work that took to get there. But I know you're a basketball guy through and through. There's no denying that. And I forget, like, who is your squad? Isn't it the Pistons? Am I wrong about that? That's just my guess. I thought it was. I could be wrong.
No, I mean, they are, and it's because I'm from Michigan. I grew up in Garden City, Michigan, and then my mom moved us out to New Jersey in 2004. Dude, she moved us right in the middle of the 2004 Piston title run.
Man.
It was I was so upset. It was right after Chauncey Billups hit the half-court shot in Game 5 against the Nets to force overtime, and they ended up losing the game in triple overtime. I remember it. And we packed up and we moved the very next day. And then I had to watch them beat the Nets, come back. You know, they won Game 6, won Game 7. And then they beat the Pacers in the conference final. And then, you know, they beat the Hall of Fame Lakers, who nobody really gave them a chance to beat, and had to watch that from New Jersey. And all my friends are calling me. They're like, dude, we're at the parade. And I'm like, yeah, have fun.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
Yo, for real, man. I mean, like, I was like a 9-year-old kid who I was 9 years old. I was like, man, I hate you guys. I was so upset. I mean, nowadays, like now that I'm like really in the business, and you know, I keep my eye on the Pistons. I can't lie, I do. But like, you know, like I'm not over here going rah, go Pistons now again. You know, I keep my eye on them though.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you got to. You know, as you should, and it's tough when you're covering another team too. You get caught up in into that too, in terms of covering them and being on that beat daily. You know, makes you not, I don't want to say a fan of them, but you respect them more, and that's what you're really watching and paying most attention to.
Well, yeah, because, you know, I understand I got a job to do. So you kind of get to a point where, you know, like I'm 26 now. So it's at a point where I realize my priorities. I'm going to cover the Sixers to the best of my ability, and I'm going to put out as much as I can and try to move up. But, you know, my deep down inside, you know, I'm looking around like, oh, did Detroit cut Reggie Jackson or Drummond or like are they going to move Blake this summer? Like I'm just, you know, I kind of have those questions in my mind.
Yeah, as you should, brother. Yeah, listen, it was great talking to you again. Thanks for jumping on with us. Continue the great work, and we'll get you on here soon, maybe before playoff time, if not when the season ends, and the direction we're going in the future.
Absolutely, man. You can always hit me up. I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. I really do. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you having us, Ky.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ky. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
Family, that was Ky Carlin. As he said, you can follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Ky_Carlin on both is his handles. And he, you know, Sixers beat reporter and editor for SixersWire.com. So go check out Ky. Great work. Listen, man, I've talked to him way back. I mean, we did a show at Philly Sports Bar long time. I mean, not that long, but at least 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the guests we had on the line. The open up the basketball season. That's when he was really getting buckets in. He covered the whole, you know, he was essentially covering the whole league.
Yeah.
You know, as we do on our social platforms, just covering it all from there. And he just kept working at it. And, you know, then I saw, you know, then he's covering the Sixers. And that's just grinding it out and getting to a spot, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he'll continue to grow because he's great at what he does. And, you know, you get a lot of unbiased, and which we heard, you know what I mean, which is not the stuff we're not saying, but you just get it from, hey, you know, in the day.
A guy that's around a little bit more.
A guy around it more and saying a lot of the sentiments we're saying. But the one thing for the idiots out there, if you didn't pick up on, there is zero jealousy between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So that narrative needs to stop yesterday, okay? And the other narrative needs to stop. And I said in the video today, if you watch All or Nothing with the Eagles, Carson Wentz and BG are the leaders of their football team. So don't be mistaken, all right? I don't want anybody to be mistaken by that. You saw it with your own damn eyes. So if you don't watch it, go watch it just for that. But so all the narratives should stop. It should stop. If you don't think the team's good enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, fine. That's your opinion, you know, for the family out there. But don't create a bullshit narrative, one as a fan base and some driven by the media, that these guys don't like each other.
Yeah.
Right? Can they play together? Yes, they can because they have. Like Ky said, it's all about the spacing. Like we've said, it's all about the spacing. Me, I'm a little different than him because I think these additions, I'm not crowning them. Not at all. Like he said, I'm not crowning them. I think for what we needed, they're great fits. We just needed some other scorers off the bench. They're going to get opportunities to get chances to score. They're going to average what they average in Golden State? Absolutely not. The playing time isn't there for them to average at. But can they still give me double digits and nights off the bench? Yeah, and I don't think he was not saying that at all. No. You know, so that's the only thing is I think they're a little bit better with these additions and moving Horford to the bench than he does. I think it's enough, right? Mm-hmm. So he's just not there. But again, he's there because he says the same shit we're saying. They get knocked down the first round, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. What basketball team are we getting you know, the family sentiments the whole time we're on talking to Ky are the same things. You know, we'll go through and read them, but I mean, we can go on like, what team's showing up?
Yeah.
Everybody, what team are we getting? We don't know. We don't know, and that's the crazy thing about this is that we're unsure, and like hopefully these last 27 games we sort of figure out who this basketball team is. What? Somebody has something to say?
No.
Oh no, you're pointing at Ralphie, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I just can't hear myself.
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just
I can
making
hear
sure.
you.
That's all.
Oh yeah.
Sound
You're
good.
good. Yeah, I mean, one good great, Rye.
You sound passable. You sound passable.
I'm there.
Yeah, you're there.
I'm there.
I hear you.
Wells was chiming in when Ky was on. He said Kelly Olynyk's parents don't even like him.
Oh, and the other thing that Ky pointed to where it's not even an excuse for this whole narrative between Ben and obviously Joel to really, be created. But he said, okay, if there's one thing, it's that, okay, they might be different personalities. Joel's hanging at home, Ben's doing things, out.
And people think the opposite.
Exactly. They think Ben's not talking to anybody,
And they
and
think
Joe's the party
running
act,
around,
Mr.
no.
Social. No.
He's Mr. Social, all right.
Yeah.
Mr. Social media.
Joe just wants to play a pickup game on some random
Yeah.
court in Philly.
and
He's
just
walking
pick up
by.
Anna DePaul. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't leave the house either if I was sitting next to that.
Well, I would hope you won it, yeah. I mean, he's allowed to once in a while.
We'll never see you again.
Yeah. I mean, you thought you did work
Remember
with
that
your
guy, Greg? Remember
thought you
him?
did, guy thinks he did work with his hand. All right, let's do this. We'll take a
What
break.
happened to that guy, Greg?
On the other
Wasn't
side,
there a third on this show?
He used to be on every show on that station.
he's with Anna. They're upstairs. We're going to get into Philly spring training and the start of the MLB season on the other side. So stay with us, family. Don't go anywhere. On Instagram and Twitter, those streams will just be restarted. On Facebook and YouTube, stay right where you're at. Don't go anywhere. And if you want to re-listen tomorrow and you like the podcast side to re-listen, or you haven't listened and want to get all our shows that way, iHeartRadio. I think I said that wrong the first time. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iTunes. We're everywhere. Come find us. Like, subscribe, follow. You know the deal. And we are brought to you by Ambuck Services. Listen, tell Michael Ambrose, boys sent you 10% off. AMBUCK services.com. Gutters, gutter guards. You need your back deck redone. Whatever you need.
Rainy season's coming. Get those gutters fixed
whatever
now.
you need, they got for you. That's ambuckservices.com. Tell them HUD sent you 10% off. We're givers. See you on the other side, giving you some more.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes. Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
AM and the PM, only on A2D Radio. You're joining us for the second half. We had a great first half. We had Ky Carlin, SixersWire.com, beat writer for the Sixers, covers the team. We had a lot to talk about, a ton of questions. You can go back and listen to it. You know, for on the podcast side, you can go back and listen to it on all the social sides, wherever you're at. You can find us. We're everywhere. Like, subscribe, follow. So we're going to talk Phils. We're going to shift it, and we're going to bring you a second poll question, which we don't really do here on A2D, but Static Gate, which happens when I'm around for whatever reason, you know, reared its ugly head tonight on Facebook. So we decided on Facebook to bring you a second half strictly there. But on every other platform, we switched up as well, and it's the Phillies will win over 85 games. Do you agree or disagree with that statement? Let us know. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, podcast-wise, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iTunes. That means everywhere. I don't know where else. Is there other places? I don't know. If there is, we'll be on it. We are brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, at Dr. Paul Vidal, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Greg calls him the GOAT. I call him the GOAT. Text him about my hand. Right on it. Help me out big time on what I need to do.
Yep.
So I don't have Calvin Johnson hands. So excited about that. And also, I'm excited about baseball season, and everybody is. It's a great season. It lasts forever, it feels like. It's the one season that goes on, and I feel like it doesn't end, which is amazing, and that's what we love about sports. And it's a great game, and we're going to talk about around the MLB, you know, after our Phillies talk. And Major League Baseball is being talked about a lot, and a lot for the wrong reasons, but it's being talked about. So we'll talk about that in the second half portion of our baseball talk here, but Philly spring training is upon us, and it's a team that won 81 games last year, boys. Okay, and won 81 games with a dipshit manager. All right, a guy who said all the weird things. You know what I mean? There's guys who say all the right things. Gabe's the king of saying all the weird things. Nothing came out that sounded normal or genuine. And people say he was a good guy. That's great. Jazz music, leather chairs creep me out. So I'm not going to psychiatrist. I'm trying to play baseball. The lack of good assistant coaches in roles in terms of your hitting coach being a complete moron, and when it comes to just hitting in general and what the game, what you talked about when you talk about hitting for years. The hitting doesn't change, right? You just can get back. That's done. Bringing out curveball machines. That's weird. All right? Even Harper was, creeped out by it. So, I mean, so then you talk about Chris Young, right? Not the Chris Young that threw, the other one, right? And
who no one heard about.
Nobody heard about. And the obsession with off-speed pitches, right? And you're going to hear Arrieta talk about it, and you'll hear other guys talk about it. Obsessed with off-speed pitches, right? And that's not a recipe for success, to be over in anything when it comes to being a pitcher. So Brian Price comes in, right? Washington's hitting coach, who I draw a blank on. I apologize on top of my head.
Dylan. Jeez.
But we talked about he was coming. We talked about this last year, right? He was coming. So we add in a real hitting coach, somebody who did wonders for a Washington lineup. I think we'll do wonders for this lineup, okay? And Brian Price, to me, is the X factor there. But then bigger than all that,
Joe Dillon.
You bring in a competent and more than competent and a great baseball guy in Joe Girardi. Mm-hmm. And to me, that alone, with the assistants and the different voices, can refresh an organization, can refresh players, okay? Refreshing in this game is so important, right? When you can get feel like a fresh start on real baseball again from what you went through. To me, that adds 8 wins. Because I watched the manager last year cough up, I can't tell you how many games on a team that wasn't good enough, right?
We estimated through the year last year as we were going through.
Yeah.
On the low end, he was 10 to 15 games he cost us.
Easily. And Girardi sorry, I'm not going to go crazy. But and his staff adds you 8 games alone. Mm-hmm. So, I got this team in at 89 wins, right around there. Can they be better than that? Yeah. I mean, I think this lineup's going to hit. I really do. Your weak links, Adam Hazley.
Right.
So can Joe Dillon help Adam Hazley? Can Joe Girardi continue the process and the progress of a high pick and getting ready to go? Because if he's not good enough, then Roman Quinn's your other option. And if he's not good enough, this team still owes a lot of money to Odubel Herrera too. So we'll see how that shapes out because he's in camp.
Well, I think if it goes that far, I think you're more likely to see Scotty go to center.
Say, no, I can't do it. Not doing it. Scott Kingery, when he starts the season at second base, does not move.
I don't disagree with you.
Oh, you do. Does not move from the second base position, period. No matter what happens, he's your everyday second baseman.
I would like that.
Yes, you have to.
But I'm saying if it gets down to the point where you're rolling into maybe Odubel Herrera.
You're probably putting Bryce in center. And you probably start Bruce Moore.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You could do that.
You probably go that direction. McCutcheon coming off
I was more going with you move Scotty, you bring Baum up, and you move Segura over.
So it's always a possibility, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't think, when you're not.
I'd rather see Scotty. I'm with you. I'd rather see Scotty at second base all year. Get him back to his comfortability.
Yep.
Let's see what the kid has shown flashes at certain times, even in his rookie year, of when he's playing consistently and when he's playing consistently at one position, he has shown that he's able to at least handle the bat.
I'm not here to blow Scott Kingery. I think he's a critical part of this team in his progress and his development and getting better. When you look around this lineup that, I'm a little infatuated with early on, I think what you get from Bryce Harper. Can Joe Dillon make him have an MVP type season again?
Yeah.
Because we need that. If Harper can have an MVP type season, that means other guys around here are hitting too. And that means I can get the 90-plus wins and maybe win a division, in the hardest division that maybe, everybody talks about you're going to need a shit ton of wins to win the division. I'm actually the opposite because I think these teams are going to beat up on each other. I think teams are going to beat up on each other. I think 92, 93 can win you this division. And the other team being 91, 92, where both are getting in. You know what I mean? I could see that very well being the case. I don't necessarily know if you got to win 95 to win it. I don't know.
Right.
I know this division is loaded, but maybe we'll see how it plays out. But maybe they beat up on each other where 93 gets you. But if everything goes right lineup wise, your question marks are in your pen that we'll get to. But lineup wise alone, when you talk about you got Hoskins, you got Raul Muto, you got Segura, Kingery, McCutchen, Hazley. So I you got Didi, right? You add Didi to this lineup. So Didi makes this lineup deeper. So to me, this lineup's pretty deep. I think this lineup can swing it enough. So we'll see how it shapes out there. But
and it allows you in the middle there to go, right, left, or left, right, however you want to go there. You put either Bryce third, Reese fourth, Didi 5, and JT 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty filthy there through the middle. And guess maybe it doesn't matter so much this year with the right, left, and whatnot because of they're implementing that stupid 3-batter rule from the bullpen.
It's awful.
So maybe that doesn't factor in as much now as it used to. But I still like the ability to go through your middle with your best hitters, opposite, right? Opposite for every couple. So that way they have to decide, am I going to throw a righty and use the ballpark that Bryce and Didi like to hit with, or am I going to throw the lefty and allow JT and Reese to go eat?
Yeah, well, what I'm doing is obviously McCutchen's going to be my leadoff guy.
Absolutely.
And then after that, I probably I contemplate going Segura 2.
Yep.
And then going probably Bryce 3. And then I go Hoskins 4. And then I probably go Didi 5 and JT 6 or vice versa. To me, that doesn't really matter.
Yep.
And then
you go either Kingery and just back up.
I go Kingery, Hazley.
Yeah. Or you flip-flop it and you just throughout the whole lineup outside of your top 2, you're left, right, all the way down.
Yeah, you could be.
The one I have up here, I just pulled it up. The only difference between what you had and what they have Real Muto batting second and Kingery going 6.
I was going to say that. If it's not Segura, it's probably Real Muto batting in the 2 spot.
Yep.
Which I have no problem with either. And then Segura batting in the 6 to me. And Segura would probably go to the 6. And Kingery would probably be 7, Hazley 8. Or, vice versa. Maybe Kingery 6, Segura 7, Hazley 8.
We talked about this a little bit last week. The biggest indicator between them obviously being a playoff type team or being at, towards the back of this entire division, because we talked about it before. I think this is the best division in baseball, which is a complete 180 from 2 years ago when people were saying this is absolutely the worst division in
when
baseball.
Young Talent comes in, that's what happens.
Yeah, and obviously you have, a defending world champ that is. Is it fair to say that they're kind of like nobody's talking about them because everyone's talking about the Braves? Isn't that
nobody's
weird?
talking about them because, to me,
they lost a lot of pieces too.
You lose Rendon. That's a killer. I know people think they're just going to get over it and it's going to be smooth sailing. You can't continue to lose stars and go win World Series again. They lost Harper and they got the Strasburg they've needed for years.
And he's going to be tired too.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of innings. I think this team takes a little bit of a step back, not a drastic one. I still got a
mid-80s.
Yeah, mid-80s. I have Matt. I still think they're a damn good team. They're tough, but I don't know how the rotation holds up after, again, a long season. It's hard to do it again, and then you lose more pop in your lineup. Doesn't make anything.
Best hitter.
Yeah, it doesn't make anything easier. Okay, so then to me, they take a step back. That's why the Braves are better. To me, the Braves are the best team in this division. So to me, I look at how do I beat the Braves?
True.
Their row staff isn't the greatest in the world. It's not shut down. They're good, but they're not the greatest. Their bullpen's good. It's not the greatest. So, can we hit with them? I think we can.
They just have a lineup that'll wear you out.
Yeah, and I think we can do a little wearing, too. So I think that matches up well. To me, Noah, if it's a Noah that we need, is better than any guy on their staff.
What up, Bryce?
right?
What's up, Bryce?
Oh, YouTube is working. Bryce, what up, buddy?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like he's better. He could be better than anybody on their staff. Our question marks are going to come with our bullpen. You know, Sir Anthony. You know, did we get the Sir Anthony we saw in 2017? I believe, where he was lights out and guys couldn't even hit him. What guy are we going to get there? You know, Hector Neris. Who, you know, the list goes on in the back end of that bullpen. That's the big question mark going into this year, more so than the starting pitching.
And then you add on top of that, obviously you have Velasquez and Pivetta battling for that 5th spot in theory, right? In theory, that's the battle there. So which one of them goes to the pen, and do they go to the pen with their head down sulking, or do they go to the pen looking to be a difference maker and a key cog to that bullpen?
It's got to be Pivetta, even though it's close. Because it's got to be Velasquez, even though it's close. Because Pivetta is right there with like more bullpen stuff. You know, but he's fine as a 5th starter. Velasquez is not fine as any starter.
No, and we know going back to last season that Pivetta, when he went to the pen, that's when he started sulking. That's when they had to send him down because of
he couldn't
obviously
get it
his
right.
head case.
So leave him as a starter. Velasquez's stuff translates to the pen. We've been yelling for it for years. He's your 8th inning guy if he wants to buy into it. If he wants to buy into it, he's your 8th inning guy. Maybe even your closer. But I don't know if you make that move this year.
I'm not running Hector out yet.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right.
Well, your 8th inning guy then goes to your closer if your closer doesn't get it done. So to me, that's where he's built. So, I'm interested to see how they go in that direction. And then, you get Adam Morgan back. So, that helps you a little bit. I can't believe I'm saying Adam Morgan helps you, but that's how and then you got to look at these minor league deals. Does Francisco Liriano come out of your pen as another lefty? Does some of these other guys that they sign the minor league contracts come out of your pen? Somebody in your farm system show up. A guy we know here, but that's another lefty.
Hey, Jeff.
So like how do they round out this pen? That's what I'm really interested to see. I think I know how your top 5 go. I don't think that's really up for debate. It's obvious. It's Noah, Wheeler, Arrieta, Eflin, Pivetta. It's real
that's
simple.
the way it should be.
And to me, it's clear what they're doing for now the 2nd year in a row. Obviously, last year, came back to bite them a little bit, but really, I don't even know. I mean, obviously it did because we didn't get where we expected to get, and obviously that's the playoffs, but it's clear that they're, especially when you talk about pitching, they are going with their 5 guys, and they're just trying to, I don't want to say survive, but in certain ways survive to the deadline. Yep. If they are within, like we talked about last week, striking distance of 1st, 2nd, wild card, if they're not a complete dumpster fire and it's not going to be an uphill climb to really make a realistic push to the playoffs, then they're going to make moves. Like you hear, I can't stand the guy, but you hear Andy McPhail this past week saying, we fully expect to reach or go over the luxury tax this year. My first indication is, okay, if you're expecting it, why haven't you done it yet? Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
We have no real decision or choice whether to trust them or not. We kind of have to be like, okay, well, you believe in Velasquez or Pivetta and Eflin for now the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th year in a row for some of these guys. Well, here's the final real reason when you talk about pitching coaches and now hitting coaches
there's no excuses now.
Yeah, there's no excuse because you can't blame the coach because the coach is a baseball guy. You know that from not even seeing any baseball, you know that the staff is an upgrade.
This whole culture's changed.
Exactly.
Guys. I mean, this whole culture's changed from the second that he signed on the dotted line.
Yep.
Yes.
This culture changed. I'm telling you, he's that good of a manager. I mean, he had Marlins teams competing that stunk, at times. So, I mean, they're going to compete. I fully believe in that. I fully trust this guy already coming in here. Guys are going to play for him. You're not going to get any of that. Not that guys, we were hearing guys weren't playing for capital, but you can sort of smell it. Yeah. Guys were getting that act was worn out real quick, and that's why this team in the second half would fail. Where I think this team doesn't fail because the act doesn't get tiresome. Right. So we're a team that in the second half, what was the reason for the failure? I'll tell you the reason. That guy wears you the hell out. He's a weirdo. So it wears you out mentally in a weird way. It wore these guys out mentally. They're not good enough. But you know what I mean? They weren't good enough to do anything.
But the collapse happened because of that. We were better than the collapse. You know what I'm saying?
We were 85, 86 game win team at that point. It nothing crazy, but he was the reason why. I mean, it was major collapses, not like epic collapses. That's not okay. So I think that changes. I think your lineup's more consistent. You have some vets in here too. Having McCutchen healthy for a full year. Can his bullpen stay healthy? If all these things go right, this team could win 90 games.
Segura seems like he's back on track. He said he dropped some LBs.
Quit the whiskey.
Quit the whiskey.
15.
He'll play wherever the team wants
pounds.
him
He put.
But the foul line
he put a
protects
lot
him at
of.
third.
He put a
Say
lot
again?
of pressure, or he put a lot of stake in himself about the McCutcheon injury.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like he
McCutcheon said it's
owned
over.
up it. He owned up
Yeah.
on it. So,
Yeah,
he comes
you hear
back.
what McCutcheon said? McCutcheon
No,
said,
I didn't. I missed
man,
that one.
we're gonna get penalized every time I don't run a ball out. You know, I'm
Yeah,
guilty.
nobody's
I'm guilty.
perfect.
I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
So like he like was like we talked about it and it's over with. And I've had times where I don't run balls out, so it just happens.
When you talk about last season, except for the obvious, I'm talking like there's with obviously the Kapler, the bullpen issues. If you put it on three main guys that really were the difference between us, obviously achieving anywhere close to what our goals were. Obviously, like the World Series talk and like that was excitement. Obviously, realistically, we were never getting to that point.
Right.
But playoffs, potential, winning a
Playoffs.
series in the playoffs, absolutely. I still think that was realistic given what we started with in the season. But the three main players to me was obviously the injury of McCutcheon killed us, absolutely killed us. Two, Hoskins just flat out sucked.
Oh,
he sucked. He
Maybe the worst
disappeared.
hitter in baseball at a point.
At some point,
And
yeah.
three, the complete to where even when we got him the first year, he wasn't great, but he was dependable most of the time. He completely collapsed and was basically a zero at the end before he left due to injury. Jake Arrieta. Now you're going into this season, except for obviously Girardi and Harp, and Real Muto, obviously the big name guys. The three biggest, I guess, needle movers, if you want to call them, to me is Arrieta kind of having a bounce back, being a key, reliable. He doesn't have to be great, but just a reliable.
Win 12
third,
games.
Yes, just don't be a dumpster fire. Be a guy that we can depend on in key road trips or, winning a series or, you know what I'm
Whatever
saying?
the case may be.
Yes, because that's going to really, when you talk about a division being so bunched that I think, and we all believe, I truly believe that it's going to be,
Yeah.
that's the biggest indicator. And the third thing is the response of Rhys Hoskins. We talk about the swing changes, obviously, which you said it mirrors Rendon, it looks like.
Hands are lower.
And you, again, going back to this hitting coach, a guy who knows what he's doing, a track record of success clearly from where he was at.
Yeah, two tracker. Everywhere. I mean, Brian Price is a pitching coach is loved.
He just wasn't a good manager.
No. Dylan's loved as a hitting guy, and Girardi's loved as a manager. So when I factor them three things in, this team's going to compete for this damn division. How it's going to play out, I can't tell you how September's going to play out right now.
Right.
But I can tell you that this team's going to compete for this division. Every team Joe Girardi has ever coached competes. So this team has a talent to compete offensively, and like my only difference from you is Noah's got to be that guy.
Absolutely.
If Noah's dominant, everything else works out with this pitching staff.
Yeah.
If he's flat out dominant, and then Wheeler's got to back him up
And stay healthy. Stay healthy, too.
It's Wheeler. Listen, this is old Noah Wheeler here. I can get away with some other things that aren't great if these two can be. If Noah can be dominant and Wheeler can be good. Right. Noah dominant, Wheeler good. Give me that.
We'll be able to deal with Pavetta every 5 games
Yes,
if that's the
yes.
case. If not, if we have to depend on Pavetta getting us, double-digit wins, we're in big trouble.
Because I think Arrieta is going to be Arrieta. I think he's going to be a high threes, not terrible, not great. He'll have an outing where you're like, oh, that's a Cy Young Arrieta.
Yeah.
He'll have another outing where he'll get shoved around.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be the ups and downs there. The big key to me even more than Arrieta, right, is if you want to go deeper in the starting rotation, it's Eflin.
Yeah, who the hell is he? Yeah.
Yeah, like he had a good
do we
year.
get the first half Eflin?
Yeah.
We
Or
tried
do we
trading
get-
him, where people tried trading him. We're like, nah.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So can Zach Eflin take a step forward?
Yeah.
And become a pro.
That's it. Yeah.
Become a pro.
Can he win me 14 games?
And it was funny when you talk about Arrieta and you talk about that deal that we signed for him. This was the year I was expecting least out of.
Yeah.
In terms of that contract, right? You signed an aging pitcher to a 3-year deal. All right, give me a good first year. Give me a so-so second year.
This year's like
And
gravy.
this year's like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever you give me, because
Isn't it
hopefully
funny?
we're at that point. But now we're
Most
like,
of the time now you're coming up on a contract year.
Yeah.
You've always sort of had a response as a pitcher and talk about Arrieta. He's always had
always had it.
Always had it. So did we get a little response? And I'm not gonna all my eggs aren't going in that basket. But do you get that response in a contract year? Does he come out and and have a 3.5, right, or a 3.6.
And would probably extend his career by 2 years.
Yeah.
If he has a good year,
bro, that's another.
Someone signs him for a year with an option.
That's another $30 million he's making.
Yeah.
I almost wonder.
Amount of money you make in baseball.
I almost wonder, and I'm getting cute, obviously, but if he has kind of a resurgence first half, I wonder if a team that's closer to championship contention comes calling.
Well, no, because if he has a resurgence first half, this team's and
We're
he's not having one.
No.
Resurgence. But if he did, then this team's goddamn competing.
That's true, and we won't be in the mode of selling.
Right.
No, because if he's your key there, then that's one of your boxes getting checked off for this team being where you're talking about it being. Mm-hmm. Do you agree or disagree, Greg? Is this team over 85 games?
I agree, and I'm right near there. 87.
Yeah, that's the over/under in Vegas. 85.5.
85, yeah, and I'm going over.
Else.
I agree. I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm going over. I'm going 87 as well.
Ralph Mello.
Take your time.
On the phone.
James Bryan. Where else has he been?
Let me see.
We're talking Phillies.
We can hear you, baby.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna go 87.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just not comfortable with the whole bullpen and pitching situation. You still gotta go out and get more pitching. The bullpen still doesn't give me any confidence whatsoever.
No,
you're not wrong.
I can't disagree with you there.
Absolutely.
You win a lot of games with a pen.
Because you're right. You're factoring on a lot of guys on a minor league deal, or the guys that aren't on minor league deals are coming back for major injuries.
Yep.
Sir Anthony, Adam Morgan, the likes. So, yeah, no, I'm with you on there.
Yeah, I'm at 89. I'm going to stick to it. We'll see how this bullpen shapes out. I think they can be a little bit better. If the bullpen can shape out somewhat, this team could be a little bit better. But, that's the question mark for everybody, and rightfully so. But I just think if this rotation, especially led by Noah, if Noah puts a complete year together, I think a lot of things will follow suit.
It was so funny because even last year, even through Noah's struggles, we always saw glimpses of the old Noah.
There was 2 months where it looked like he was back.
Where he was back.
Because it was first.
Noah.
Is he
well,
tired?
no, but you know what I mean. Like, yeah, it was like, all right, he's back.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and even though he was bad or down, he was still our best.
I was
pitcher.
just gonna say that. I was just gonna point to that. He said that he learned a lot. I was gonna actually say maybe that's gonna be. We're gonna look back on that season was good for him. It was really because obviously he faced adversity early in his career, so I'm not going to say with the injuries obviously and him obviously getting sent down. So I'm not going to create the narrative that he's never faced adversity.
Got sent down.
He did. No, he did because of the injuries. There was
when did he get hurt?
20. His first year up here. His first year up here, he got sent down because of the injuries. It was a couple weeks.
What injuries did he have?
I don't remember the exact.
I think it might have been just arm fatigue and stuff like that. I don't think it was anything major.
No, it wasn't anything major, but it was kind of like because people got up in arms. Like I remember you got angry with it because you're like, why are we babying these players? And it was basically their thing was, we're not trying to win right now. We're not trying to get cute with somebody that we're still developing because that was also in the same year where we were calling, bring up Nola, and then he had a good start, and then he got hurt, and he was struggling a little bit, so they sent him down to kind of cool off a little bit.
Okay.
So, but my whole thing is, coming off of a successful year like he had 2 seasons ago, obviously Kepler's, first year here, to where he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now, him kind of having a quote-unquote letdown season, it's going to really show us a lot about Aaron Nola and also show the team and maybe himself what kind of player he's going to be for us. Because if he comes out, and I'm not expecting this to happen, if he comes out and struggles again, well, then maybe we have to reassess a little bit going forward.
No, you're
then
right.
maybe he's more of that, as we heard a lot last season, of, he's a one-year wonder type guy, as that was the narrative last year when he was struggling.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe he's one of the best pitchers in baseball and will be for many, many years.
Yeah, you don't pitch Friday nights at LSU and then have the, be in a Cy Young conversation and then forget how to pitch.
Yeah.
It was back in 2016. It was just, like you said, right elbow strain.
Yes.
So it wasn't anything major.
Yeah, because I didn't think he had a bunch of injuries. He wasn't really an injury.
No, it was just one, and they sent it down.
Injury guy.
My biggest, I don't want to say my biggest concern, but the one thing, and we haven't talked about this yet, it's kind of still up in the air on if McCutcheon's going to be he's going to be playing at the beginning of the year. So where if it's not McCutcheon, is that Jay Bruce?
Yeah.
That's Jay. All right. And do you think that's a big concern.
For a couple weeks, I don't think it kills you.
Okay.
You know, like if you don't start opening day, he's 2 weeks away.
It's Bruce or Josh Harrison.
Yeah,
I remember Josh Harrison is in there.
Yep.
Logan Forsythe. Now I know these guys are more infield guys, but they have these pros that have been around the game that could fill in, in a pinch.
They've been trying to play a second baseman in center field the last 2 years.
You know, or Roman Quinn,
Rome.
or Rome
He has the
plays
speed.
there.
He has the speed.
So I mean, that's how I look at that. You get Roman for a couple weeks, and then he'll be hurt anyway, and then McCutcheon's ready to go. So. I mean, but I think he might be ready opening day. I know there's still conversation about it.
There's talk that he could be ready.
He could be ready. He's close. So, I mean, you can see that if you follow him on Instagram or anywhere like that. He's close.
Yeah, I saw that. It was just the one comments from Girardi the other day where he's saying we'll ease him along. And that's coach speak, obviously.
And I don't think he's going to play every day anyway. So, like, I think early on, even if he is ready opening day, he plays a game, he might have off too.
Yeah.
Comes back, you know what I mean? They're going to take it easy on him early on in the year, absolutely. You know what I mean? They're not. It's almost like minute restrictions. Like, he might not play back-to-backs.
Yeah.
And there's back-to-backs all day in baseball. So,
no day game. He won't play any day games. For
After
example,
a night
nothing after a night game. You're 100% right. So,
and not that he's old, but he's not as a young spring chicken anymore.
Games after a long, like a road trip, for example. We're getting off a plane. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's going to be a lot of factors into that. A lot of factors. So that's why some of these vets are here, and that's why you brought Jay Bruce. Back. So
I completely agree with you, though. There's only one team that's going to run away and hide, and I don't even think it's going to happen. I think they're a great ball club, and that's the Braves. That's the only team that can run away and hide. I don't think the Mets can. They have good pieces, but they're always hurt. The Nationals, I think, are going to take a step back, and while I think we're good, we're not there to where we can win a game. We can win the division by.
And then can this Braves lineup put it together again for another year too? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they can. I mean, I think they're flat out loaded. But
I think they have the MVP on the team, Acuna.
Yeah, I mean it's not hard, but Mookie Betts now plays in the NL, and that lineup's fucking loaded. So it's going to be somebody from the Dodgers. I will stake my whole reputation on the MVP of the National League is coming from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Because when your lineup's that loaded, who the fuck are you pitching to?
Nobody's under pressure either. Everyone's protected.
You can't pitch anybody.
Everyone's protected.
You can't
bases
pitch around
loaded
anybody.
on every at-bat. Bases loaded
it's
everywhere.
It's crazy. You can't pitch around anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to rake. That's like a murderer's row out there.
And they were already good hitters anyway.
Yeah. Still probably
remember
the second round of the
NL
playoffs.
MVP's on that team.
Yeah.
And then they had Mookie Betts to that team. So, hey, more MVPs. I mean, not that Acuna can't win it. Because Acuna could come breaking in 50 home runs and call it a day.
50-50.
He wanted to be at, 40-40?
40-40. I think he's 40-38.
Yeah, he's still a stud, dude.
He's top five player in baseball.
I always say I hate that I like their kids. But I like them.
Yeah.
I like their kids. Well,
it's a smart organization, unlike certain ones in Philly.
No, we can't get,
we don't have one.
We don't even have an Ozzie Albies.
No.
Let alone a Ronald Acuna.
No,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Albies and Acuna, their salaries both match Harper's. Because I think they're both $100 million guys. Yeah. And Harp's obviously way over that.
Yeah,
so
I don't
even think Albies is $100 million. But you're right. That's all Acuna is.
Yeah.
One of the best players in baseball is only making $100 million. Now, granted, he's only 22, so
it's a smart.
Not many people get
move.
that much money at that age.
It's a great move by him and Albies to lock themselves up for a minute,
especially from those guys coming from nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, you throw a little money in front of you.
$50 million in front of Albies, he jumps all over that. Why would you not?
And now it's off their plate. Now they can play so relaxed.
And then they're going to get their big contract still, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, that's all I got to really talk about Phillies for right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it more, and we'll continue baseball talk. We don't even need to do that tonight. We talked long enough here.
Yep.
So, AM and PM, A2D Radio. Tom Arnone, Greg Mwagwick, Ryan Brodo, Ralphie D on the ones and twos.
LaRalpho.
Go back. You can find all the shows on the podcast-wise, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and iTunes. We're everywhere there, and you can re-listen to shows on all our platforms on social. Like, follow, subscribe for us, fam. We need you. We really don't. We'll do it without you if we need to.
But we'd like to have you along.
Love to have you. Love to have you. Stay tuned. Shows all week here. You know how it goes. Shows don't end. Lazy booking tomorrow night. Guys, if Chrome's feeling better. I don't know if he is.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him.
And then obviously hockey happy hour tomorrow night. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for the boys
Flyers
tomorrow night.
game tomorrow.
Flyers
Sixers game tomorrow.
Everything's back tomorrow. So we're excited. Fab, thanks for joining us.
Oh, hold on. Flyers trade. No one of importance. They've traded goaltender J.F. Berube to the Rangers for future considerations.
Breaking.
Fun.
Breaking.
Fun. That's how we'll end this one on a snooze fest. Talk to you soon, fam. Late.